Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend, and we all know the football Euro 2020 has come to an end. It's year 2021, but they did play a Euro 2020. It's kind of irony, but we all know who was a winner. That's right. It was a very tense penalty shootout with Italy coming in as a winner 3-2, and England got ahead. And I'm a big England fan too, and I thought that England could have won, and probably today we have a public holiday in UK, but it's not. It turned out to be the Italian redeeming themselves after not able to qualify in the last World Cup, and that was really a tense and very gritting right to the end, and it almost just ended about almost 4 o'clock in the morning. That's right, some of you may be still sleepy, but then again the market will continue. Let's look at what we have for you this morning in our headline for our breakfast show. I'm your host, Martin Wong. Now let's look at what the market present us today. Definitely this morning, there was a big conference that held up by the virtual Bursa place, and I think there was a lot of very good information. So do go up to the Bursa marketplace and check out some of the YouTube that they have. I've seen a few. I'm kind of surprised, and the type of content they are giving out, definitely it is very, very good for beginner. For it, of course, we still have our SMARTRobie with collaboration with Rakuten Trade in here, and those of you who are opening up a new account do get a 50 ringgit voucher for it, and there's a lot of good information. And also we'll be coming up a series of SMARTRobie YouTube tutorial that will make it available very, very soon to you. For those of you who are new to SMARTRobie, we're able to utilize this tutorial and make great benefits and make good investment decision, which always been part and parcel of our education program in here. All right, let's look at that. This morning, it's definitely the beginner section. So we'll be looking at the Pentagon guided trade idea for many of our things. And we all know right now what we've seen in our headlines. That's right, in our morning headline. Let's look at where we are on the KLCI. Just clicking on the, sorry, this is STI. Switch back to KLCI, hitting the Robie chart here. And what we have seen so far, there is still a lot of red Pentagon, as you can see in our most active in the morning. It's kind of good thing to just look at, what are the most active stocks in here. Right now, the KLCI continue to hit downwards. No doubt, last week we have a quick spurs of the uptrend just on one bar, and the market seems to be heading down despite the Friday, the big virtual conference that's supposed to show up and providing education in here. It's still tending down because of the political situation. Now what we have seen so far, you can see from here, everything seems to be on the red lah. Here we have the most active continue to be Server Dynamics. Then we have the also Edison down, almost limit down. Then we have the UMS also. UMS is up. This is, wow, that's 69 cents. That's wonderful, isn't it? Almost. Pentagon was still red, and you got high tech there, CI, Carlsberg, MPI is a big decliner in here, is a green Pentagon. So that's pretty much tells you sort of the status of the market in here. All right, good. Of course, let's look at the KLCL right now, switching to a wider chart here. Right, and right now you can see since the red Pentagon that we have, here, market continue to slide, and hopefully, what we see here on last Friday, the CI did close higher, but the volume isn't convincing enough. You can see that the volume was lower than the breakdown to 1520. So very likely you will see this market just going to be tinkering around in here, and it's kind of interesting to see whether our KLCI market will break below the 1500, although some analysts from the broker houses has indicated that the market can go to a low as a 1463, which another 40 points down. That you can see right at the bottom there, it's 1480, right? So things are not pointing to the rosy side as the continued uncertainty that is continuing. But let's look at the headline that we have for you this morning. Okay, definitely The first headline is the recovery of what we call the post-COVID-19. Now, even though we are still pretty much in the midst of the EMCO, especially those of you who are in Selangor and Kuala Lumpur, we could not get out from here. We are pretty much in it. Having said that, this news, which is on last Saturday, talk about the consumer-related businesses will make the fastest comeback. But we all know, definitely, if you switch on to technology, the technology sector is still continue to be the best sector to be in, followed by industrial, REITs, finance, and consumer. Consumer is just number 5. What we are saying in here is likelihood consumer is coming back, and those of you who want to buy a turnaround strategy, buying those badly beaten, definitely the news in here is looking at restaurants, retail, tourism, and of course, if you want to see what kind of stocks you want to be looking at, put into your watch list, definitely you can use the number 5 here, hit on consumer. If you want to see this news, all right, we have the consumer in here. So right here you can see all these stocks are Pardini. Always, all things being equal, always go for the market leader in each one, which means you want to focus on the large cap. Now some of these are still in the red pentagon, so if you really want to buy them, you can use the trading plan or wait for the chart to turn green pentagon. That will be a signal for you to entry if this is a strategy for those of you who want to buy better down stocks. Stocks has been beaten down a lot. So this is how we want to make use of the information that is provided in here, taking note of, buy low, sell high, the kind of strategy that some of you may want to use. All right, let's look at the next news that we have is the Ringgit, which I did cover earlier on, and the Ringgit continued to weaken in here. This economists come out and say, no doubt, when it's always when we come to the weakening of the ringgit, then there is some sort of a good news coming up in here. The rollout of the vaccination and the recovery of the COVID, all this will turn to ringgit becoming stronger probably on the second half of the year. But the question is, when it started to turn weak, they don't inform us. It's when they start to recover. But that's why it's important, the audience in here who are listening, it's very important to look at the chart. Definitely one of them will be available in TradingView. You can use this USD MYL. So what we have seen so far early on, let me just switch on to a little bit of comment on just to update myself and you too on the US dollar to ringgit. Early on in January, where we almost are touching $4, where a lot of economists, probably the same bunch, were talking about 3 ringgit 99 going to 370 in here. So right now they're talking about recovery. You can see the market ever since the COVID-19 did come back and continued lockdown, the market has a nice pullback. This is a weekly chart. Do take note. Now it's breaking up 320. For this market to come back a bit down, we have 4 bars already up move. So I do see that we probably have some sort of a minor weakness coming in here, but the trend still looks to 4.24. Okay, 4.24 would be the high before any of this market turn back. So what does it mean when I say what you should do is, those of you who are thinking to go into the US, want to do a bit of market timing with the ringgit, you can either go in now or you wait for it to hit 4.12 and a pullback. Usually, judging from what I've seen with the uncertainty that we see so far in the KLCI, we really don't know where we are. But my trend is, if we can say this is definitely an uptrend rather than let me know what you think. Type it in the comment in there. I'll be happy to see what you think and whether you share the same logic with what I do in here, the ringgit. Now let's move on to our next news is the steel counter. That's right. Now steel counter, as I said before, every time when we see this kind of bad news, all right, the stock is already fallen, okay, and it is time to buy. That's why WYSD stand for what you should do. Basically, you want to wait for accumulation and the green pentagon. So let's look at some of the steel sector. Definitely one in mind is M Steel. Okay, M Steel, or you can type steel. I believe you can type steel here. So when you type steel, you can see all the steel sectors: Micron, S Steel, LYSH, King Steel, CSC. So all the steels are all here. And if you just type on M Steel, looking at the stock chart here, just switching to a wider chart now, most of this, this is the fundamental, sorry, let's switch on to the fundamental. So the fundamental and chart would already turn downwards. You can see here, market turn all the way down almost to 50 cents, hit 85, and this is also one of the counter that we have on our Pentagon. We actually cut when the market broke through the ATR stop loss just after the red pentagon that you see over there. On hindsight, we cut it around 62, 63 cents. Now it's 50 cents. Went down some more, isn't it? So that's why it's important to cut loss. As I said before, if you don't cut loss, you'll be, still waiting for the market to come back. So right now, I think with all the bad news that is coming out, steel sector in the tight MCO spots in here, that's pretty tell you bad news, right? Bad news. Thing to buy. Okay, bad news, you want to think to buy, and definitely you want to wait for the green pentagon in here. There will be a couple of shakeout because the smart money doesn't want you to move up higher in here. And again, of course, you do not need to trade on this kind of news. You can always look for those that have a better odds on you. Definitely is the technology stock, and those are the stocks that you should try to get in. All right, so this is a turnaround strategy kind of trade in here. Let's move on to our next news. Okay, so the next news is going to be focusing on the digital play. Now digital play, this so-called social media seminar provider Azizan Osman, and has increased his stake on MPay. Now do take note, MPay is a play together with iFast, which we talked about last Saturday, isn't it, right? Last Saturday in our growth investing, many of you came and did ask me about the slide summary PDF. We will send up this week, no doubt about it. Okay, of course, those of you who come in will probably know how we look at the overall market when it comes to growth investing and also the indicator. On this stock itself, let's take a look at MPay. Continue to push up, which mean so-called a personality, celebrity, I think you can call that. So let's look at MPay. Okay, and look at the stock chart, switching to a wider chart in here. So the stock has gone up a fair bit actually. At this point, you could see it has a lot of upthrust, the resistance at 27 cents in here. The partnership with the digital bank, many of them I find for that is what is carrying this news inside here. Now take note, early on in one of the case study that we did way back was also green packet. Okay, and they talked about digital bank. The stock shot up, and then after that all the way down all the way. And I would think it's very similar. Good news, learn to take profit. I think that's very important. If you want to buy any of these stocks, wait for the breakout first, right? Whether this MPay can reinvent itself. Of course, one of the things you want to do, whether this has some sort of prospect, you can also look at the stock fundamental, which last Saturday I've teach you all to use the 4-year trend, which is you can see MPay of the PE of negative, so it is a negative stock. Let's look at MPay here, being a very small cap, just slightly about less than 200 million in here. So you can look from the chart in here and just look at the quarterly. You can see on this chart itself, the net profit has come back a bit lah. Right? Net profit was 62%, and previously, it swing up to 1000%, and it can really swing up and down. That's the thing with this kind of stocks, right? As long as it started to turn cash positive, you can see from here the cash flow has certainly improved a fair bit in here, generating about 11 million. So that is one of the so-called positive. It hasn't been very consistent, and that's what you see at 27 cents. At this junction in here, looking at the chart will be my best bet. All right, so you can combine the chart and the fundamental, but fundamental tend to be very sketchy, inconsistent. But who knows, if these stocks were to take off in the digital bank with iFast, right, then these stocks would definitely be good. So right now it's always been very difficult to play on the digital play, but definitely one way to do that is looking at the trading location, right, where you have some sort of a pullback. That is why and where you want to put yourself in. Okay, let's move on to our next story here. So our next story will be focused on the US market. So we switch on from SMARTRobie, we go to S&P 500. You just click it there. Okay, and S&P 5 hit the Robie chart, and switching to a wider chart in here. So definitely if you look at the S&P 500, let's look at the hot stocks. Okay, now the hot stock, after we have a big so-called sell-off, we have a spring, you can see from here, but take note on the chart here, we did have a spring, and spring is a sign of weakness. The market did not fall. As a matter of fact, it spring back up. That's what spring does, right? It spring back up. That tells you that the market, US, is strong and continue to fend off any bad news. The big spring that we see in here was reacting to the Tokyo Olympics issuing another emergency. Now you all know, if you've been following the Tokyo Olympics, spectator is not allowed, so there were ticket sales made earlier. Now the organizer are apologizing to everybody, saying that look, we are not able to bring you in, but like it or not, on bad news, market continue to go up. Now, like it or not, readers, audience, and those of you who are my students in here, continue to understand stock market always climb on the wall of worry. Now remember what Josh Soros used to say, you don't make money if you're very comfortable putting your money in the market. You only make money when you take some sort of a risk. And right now, this market going higher, a lot of beginners may not like to buy it, but professional people like myself, I'm loving this. I'm buying on the trending market. All right, when everyone start talking about it, it's usually we get some sort of a news. So learn to cherish bad news. As I said before, learn to cherish bad news inside here. And you know, at one point in time, this market will correct, but right now I don't see it based on the green pentagon, and it is continue on the blue trend zone in here that we see. Hopefully this will continue to hit. The target they are talking about is 4,700 in here. All right, now of course this week will be the continued earnings of the US side that we see. So US, a lot of the large caps are releasing news. Goldman Sachs, Delta, Chase, Pepsi Cola, and the stocks to watch out for. Of course, you can always go to the Pentagon Guider or Trending Stock to look at some of these stocks. But very interesting. Just switch on to a wider chart here. Scan of what was hot and what was active last week is definitely no other than Apple. Continued to hit $145. That's right. We thought about 139. There was a resistance. It did not stop as the market continued to rally, and we are back to 145. Apple tend to go up and down in here. NEO is still one of the active sectors in here. Bank of America is up. GE is up. AT&T is up. Big gainer. And you can notice booking is one of those travel related. And early on in the Malaysia, the economist, Mr. Yi is also talking about travel. But I do think the US are starting to travel this summer in here. And some of the vaccinated American already made its route to Europe already. So some of these stocks, booking and travel, will do pretty well. And also, you know, you can look at the cruise liner too in US. Big decliner was Amazon in terms of dollar in here, Biogen. But all in all, everything's looking very, very positive for the US market. It's a much easier market to trade. And I highly encourage some of the audience in here to do a bit of research using the Robie US and find the stocks that you like. All right. So this, and the tech stocks continue to be very. Now let's move on to our neighbor, which is in Singapore. And on this morning news on the Business Time, they were talking about Sembawang Marine, IX by Alpha, MLT SIM. And I think last week we talked about the Sembawang Marine too, one of the big ones in here. So let's take a SGX and looking at the Robie chart. So right now you can see, let's look at the overall market. And you can see Singapore market here, and you can see even on the chart wise, right, it did follow very similar to Malaysia, hit a green pentagon and then sell back down. So a lot of foreign funds are also shunting the SGX market in here. Not really positive, right? So out of the three markets that we talk about, US seems to be the big brother running in here. All right, so you can see from here, one of the most active stock right now is S51, the Sembawang Marine, which is the stock they are talking about in here. All right, S51 here. So, okay, let's look at the chart. S51 And this is the stock which we talked about last week after fell from the 18 cent of some bad news, right? This stock is, but usually this kind of stocks, don't bother go and kacau it. All right? You make money better with something like that. All right. The other stocks that I really like, which came out on the Pentagon Guider. Okay, go to Pentagon Guider in here. Taking out, now all things being equal, always look for the latest date, because if you see from each of these stock, 6th of July, 6th of July, they were only referring to the Pentagon being triggered. All right. So here, the latest one is 7th of July, unusual, which is a telecommunication. They make movies on now. All right, let's take a look at that chart. So you can see in here, there's a lot of what they call this no volume trading. So generally when you see this kind of no volume trading, it's very, very hard to make money. All right, so skip it. And there's one stock I particularly like from here is S50, the SAT. Okay, SAT, right? Let's talk about SAT, S58. That's the one that is managing the airport in Singapore, the Changi airport. So if you look at S58 stock chart, and this one looks a bit better again, playing on the recovery, just like what we've seen in booking.com in US. Very similar in here. The market did pull back a bit here. Let's take a look at this morning, the stock prices for S58. And it is almost down just 0.5% in here. So remember, the resistance is still there as overall Singapore market still getting a bit weaker in here. But do take note, technology stock remain to be hot, and something we talked about last Friday, which is the UMS, the V03, and also the French can. All right. So let's move on to the back to Malaysia here. And right now we are at the leaderboard here, the Pentagon Guider. So we have some of these past leaderboard in here, and our last week pick, right, as the market did fell back down, wasn't that great. And let's take a look at them this morning in here. First one is QES. So I'll just bring it in here. So switching to a bigger chart so you can see it. So okay, let me just squeeze it back in here again so I can move it out and in here. So first is QES. Now after we pick it up on 5th of July last week, the market broke through and right now got red Pentagon. So that's not too good, which means the market will trend to stay down and move sideways. But do take note, the ATR stop loss is this one. If it does close below it, just like earlier on, the M Steel, which one of the trade that we have in our Pentagon, will be cut. All right, so this one will be very similar to the situation in here. Remember, the market did go higher. There's a pullback, but if it doesn't break through in here, then it will start to go up. So take note of it. The next one that we have is JF Tech, another technology stock, which is fair much better. So technology stock, you have resistance here at 140. 5th of July is this one here. So the market hold back in here, still waiting for the 150, 149 for it to break out. So this will take some time. You can see in here. The volume is getting high. That's not too bad. But the question is going back to overall market sentiment. The KLCI market sentiment continue to be weak. We still need some foreign funds coming in. If you check the foreign fund from our premium dashboard, you will notice definitely those are really moving out rather than moving in for the KLCI. So just take note. All right, for also the previously Aeon Credit seems to do slightly better. Right, this is a big institutional stock. We pick it up somewhere around the 28th of 28 in here. It didn't hit through ATR stop and the market jumps up in here. So nice one over there, but it's just very slow. Just 2% the kind of movement that you can make. Okay, 2% the kind of movement you can make. So those are the so-called lesson learned from our past insight there. And remember, right now our KLCI is still in the yellow trend zone and is still trending down. So you should, if you are trading, maybe you should stay out from the market right now because there's nothing much on it here. So as such, going forward next week, there's only one beginner trading idea from our Pentagon here. It's Petronas Gas, okay, which is for episode 91. So let's look at the PET, okay, PET gas. PGas in here. I have to type P. Petronas gas. Okay. So Pet Gas turned green Pentagon. Now why I like this stock is because of the support that you see in here. All right. Right at the base around 1550 here. This is supported and it's going to range bound. This is actually at the low side of it in here. So the ATR stop loss is here. Again, recovery. If the MCO do open up, then you'll see this stock just the most is about $16.20. So it's going to be a very short-term kind of trade in here. Other than that, if you don't need to, you don't need to take any trades at all. As I said before, the market seems to be, giving this very weak background and also very weak sentiment going forward. So very likely many trades will end up to be unfinished or drag sideways for some time. All right. So that is my my point of view so far for our local KLC market. Definitely US market has a bit more rosy. All right. Of course, just an update from our Pentagon guider. Despite what we've seen so bad in the market, right, compared to KLCI, which is I think maybe -4 or -5%, our portfolio that we did continue to make positive around 11.6% in here. We still have one last trade, and that one last trade hopefully is holding up is Maybao. Okay, we have Maybao, right? Even we bought it around this green Pentagon in here, still staying above ATR stop loss. Last Friday there was a down 6% in here. We are still holding up. This morning is down another 1% in here, and that's what we do. Like it or not, we will continue to hold our position using the fixed rules. We stay away from making any decision, just following the rules, because due to our back testing in here, and this is one of the powerful, and that's why we are still positive 11.6% using the fixed rule for Pentagon Guider. So the question is, how well has your portfolio done? All right, are you getting the double digit like us? If not, continue to follow us or join some of our paid courses and in our also Zoom session that we do on the weekend here. All right, let's move on to the next story. The remaining of our show definitely will be the schematic where I talk about it more often in the tutorial in here. You want to buy at the line change, but right now the market sentiments are continue to be very weak. Many of this will result on what we call pullback, and where profit taking, when any line change, quickly profit taking comes in. But you generally, so you can scan this QR code here with the confirm no supply, and all this are important as part and parcel of your education, understanding volume spread analysis that we do. All right. Then don't forget this coming Saturday. That's right. Another treat for those of you who are pretty much at home during this enhanced lockdown is to join us. That's a QR code there. Join us with the Macquarie and stand to win great prizes and listen to 3 great speakers, including myself. I will be talking about electric vehicle and renewable energy in the Chinese and US sectors. All right, so make sure you join me this Sunday. That's right, this Saturday, 17th of July in here. My talk will be at 9:30. All right, 9:30, and the other next 2 speakers will also speak. Have a chance, listen to David Poe. He was also one of our previous speaker in our conferences. Very fundamental driven in here. Sean is another chap too. I like to listen to him too. And that'll be great for this weekend. And of course, our August intake for our masterclass is open right now, and you can register for it for those of you who are interested. And right now, we're going to be doing our stock take. And last Saturday, thank you to those of you who's giving us a Google review. Thank you very much. And finally, we have crossed more than 370 Google review, one of the highest among the educational provider in Malaysia, and we're quite happy to that. Thank you to all our supporter and top fans in here for giving us the Google review that we have, more than 350%, and that's something I felt that we couldn't done it without you. So again, we still continue to want to get your review from our Google Play Store and Apple Play Store for our SMARTRobie, where we continue to bring you good support, good services. All right, now we're going to be looking at some of the shares that you have, and if you have any shares that you want me to look at, do let me know. All right, and all right, Any shares that you all have, just let me know that you want me to review. Okay, let's look at revenue. Now, revenue is one of the stocks holding that I have. Again, if you're trading this, it broken through the ATR stop loss, so we do not know whether it will, go through the same basis inside here. Again, going back to your trading plan, what is your method if you're trading in here? ATR already broken through, just like MYGI. Okay, you can see here, right? Where we got in here, broke through the ATR stop loss. We got out here 190, 195, 194, and break until berapa sekarang? 164. So if your plan is to average down, if your plan is to lose money, then hold lah. Else how you going to achieve like us our portfolio of 11.6%? Alright. So this is how we do it in real time. We're showing you. So if you are not able to compete the kind of portfolio, then cut loss. Okay. So for revenue in here, if you're longer term, then you need to have a longer term strategy. All right. And remember, last week we did came out with our growth investing strategy for exit 1. So if you can check it out in there. If not, join me for the masterclass. Of course, for our masterclass student in here, we will give you the fixed rules as well as the training for the growth investing entry and exit rules. So that's one of the big benefits too in here. All right. There's another one, SLOS, High Tech, Avanta, Hector. Okay. Amil always been a great supporter in here. So again, this one, if it's above the ATR stop loss, hold it. Very easy. Avanta. Okay, again, broke through the ATR stop loss here already, right? Must cabut. Okay, so this one in here, you're just waiting for the green pentagon. I do not know how long it's going to go on. So this is also another issue too. The whole point is to stay out of the market when there is yellow pentagon. Okay, yellow trend zone or red pentagon in here. So during this time, you are, sort of, you had to run through it. All right, let's look at the high tech. Okay, high tech is good, and move your money here. Okay, so like here, green pentagon, you got in, the market move up $2 to $6. That's a lot, and it's crazy. Some of these stocks move up. Okay, if you can pick it up early on, that'll be great. All right, on the SMARTRobie or on our dashboard in here. So right now is uptrust. What is your plan? Okay, usually most people will go in now, right, and then they don't know what to do. Correct, no? Because they like to chase. And again, something I talk about because of fear of missing out, FOMO. All right. I mean, I wish you luck if you want to trade this kind of shares. If you do follow the trading plan, have a trading plan. Else it's very hard to make money. If you have gone in during the green pentagon here, $2 to $6, you already make your money in here. Okay. So what can I say? Okay. Let's go on to the next one here, Pentec. Okay, Pentec has green pentagon. Unfortunately, again, this one here, there is no volume to push it up because our so-called our market, as I said before, many reasons why our market couldn't go up is because our market, the sentiment is so bad right now. Everything so cannot push up. So definitely for the last stock that we see, high tech was definitely smart money. They already financed themselves. They're going to push it up, and they're going to start distributing very, very soon. Okay, just like Genin Tech all in here. All right, we'll just take note of it. Pentec, okay, Lotte Chemical. Some of these are all smart money trying to push up the set. Lotte Chemical broke through ATR stop loss, so time to exit. Okay, Pentec is the one in here. Okay, so Hector, Avanta, so all of that. So the only stocks that I have currently in terms of trading the shorter terms are my Maybach, which I have. And okay, so that's the shares that I've been getting from all of you, right? And if you have any question, there is definitely a number that you can reach us. And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done so, and also do share this with your friends that benefit. All our video are updated in our YouTube, so you don't miss any of those. And of course for our longer workshop, do join us in our Zoom that we do from time to time, or at least once every 2 months. So you can do, what you can do is to find out all those, just go over to the marketplace on the top side in here, then you can find out some of the offering that we have, and also our courses that we have too. All right, do check out all in there in our marketplace on our SMARTRobie. That's how you update yourself. Oh, we have Mr. Wong here. Maybe for last one is Getronics. Okay, Getronics, okay, not too bad, staying above the ATR stop loss. Again, very similar to what we saw all for like JF Tech, all the technology stock. These are the only what we call silver lining among the very bearish. Of course, if you switch over to Apple, okay, where did Apple go? Apple go up, isn't it? So let's hope that Getronics will follow Apple from here onwards. If not, as I said, I tell people, buy some Apple. Easier said than done. All right, buy some Apple in here, and definitely Rakuten Trade has something for us next month in August, where I'll talk more about their promotion, about their US market. So then, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, and do join our Telegram chat room and share that with your friends for all our latest information and workshop that we do, so you will always keep updated. Now overall, at the end of it, do not be too bearish about our market. All right, our market will likely to hold its level in here around at 550, but switch over to less volatile stocks that have pays a bit of dividend for those of you who are still want to stay in Malaysia. But for many like myself, I have moved some of my portfolio over to the US side. At least I get a bit of growth on price appreciation, and a little bit on Malaysia. That will always be a very good strategy. Again, this is something I've talked to many of my students, how to do this wisely in here using the right diversification that you need to achieve that required rate of return every year in order to stay profit. All right, of course, with SMARTRobie and the tools that we have in here and education, we hope to bring you a better experience in the stock market, where you will grow your money together with the market. So thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing this video in here. I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye bye.